Okay, I hope you guys are doing well. So, today I want to do project on a Django blog. Let's name this folder as blog project. Okay, then let's open it up. So, previously I have done a project on Django which is known as to-do list. You can find that project in my channel. I'll put a link of that project in my description. So it's going to be a blog project based on Django. So we'll learn how to create blog posts, how to put them on your web page, and then how to create users with authentication, authorization, and plenty of more stuffs in Django. So let's create this now. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'll create a virtual environment for this project, and we'll also deploy the project to our GitHub repository, and I'll share the repository link with you guys so you can get the updated or latest codes. Okay, so let's create a environment here. So I'm going to open my CMD, and here I'll type Python dash m env, and I'll call this as env, which will be my environment. So it will take just a couple of seconds to create the environment, and when you are working on some kind of separate Django project or any Python project, it is always wise to use a separate virtual environment, because you might have dependencies that can conflict with other packages. So it's better to create a virtual environment. So I don't know why it's taking so long. Let me see if the virtual environment has been created. So the folder has been created, but we cannot do anything until it just stops. I have another CMD open here. I'm just going to close that out. Okay, so our virtual environment has been created. Now the only thing we need to do is to activate our virtual environment. So in order to do that, I'll write here env/scripts and /activate, and this will activate our virtual environment. Now your virtual environment has been activated, so now you need to install Django, which for a reason we will install Django using the pip package manager. So pip install and Django, I guess. Sorry about that. Okay, so it will take a little bit time. Okay, so the Django has started downloading, and it will take just a couple of seconds to install it, and the packages will be installed. Then we can start our Django project. Okay, it will install the packages. So let's see what is going on here. We'll refresh it here, and after Django has been installed, we'll create a project first, then we'll move on to creating an app for our project. So just be very okay, so it has installed Django in our dependency. Now let's clear this out, and now let's create our first Django project. So it will be the Django dash admin, and we'll write here start project, and we have to give a name of this project. So I'll call it blog project, and it will create a project in our directory. I can either take both of this in my base directory, or I can just leave it here. I think it's better to just leave it here, or maybe I can just take this here out. Okay, I can. Okay, let's take this out here, because this is actually not dependent on anything. This is just a boilerplate. Okay, so this uh, Django start project is just gives us a boilerplate, just like when you're working on React, npx create React app just gives you a boilerplate. Okay, so you can just install them separately like that. So since we have imported this here in our environment, now you can start work here. So the next thing I will do here is that I'll open up this particular folder in my code editor. So let's use Sublime Text. I'm going to use Sublime Text for this particular project. So let's open a folder. Let's go desktop. I have so many folders here. Let's select this folder out. So if we navigate in our project directory, you can see that there is something known as settings.py. So the way Django works is that it goes through the settings.py and it checks all the settings. Then it will visit the urls.py and then it will navigate to something known as views in our project, and then it will render that view. Okay, we don't currently have views here, but we can actually create that view. But I won't go into much detail because we are going to create a blog app. So you will learn at least, I think, 60% about Django while creating this project. Okay, so since we need to add this project folder in our GitHub, I want to create a git ignore file in my root directory. Okay, so let's create a new file and let's save this file as .gitignore in our blog project of the base directory. So I'll give it a name of .gitignore. So git ignore, and we want to ignore our modules folder or the packages folder. So I'll write here env and let me save that here, and let's go here. Okay, so now we will start working on our app. So in order to do that, I'm going to open my cmd, and here I'll write the command python manage.py. Let's write here start app, and actually, you know what, just before that I want to do some migration. So migrate. Let's see if we have anything to migrate here. So everything seems to be okay, and let's run the application first in order to show you guys what Django initially looks like. Okay, so python manage.py, and here we'll write the command run server in order to activate our localhost server. So it will take a couple of seconds, and it has started the localhost. You can see the address, it says 127.0.0.1:8000. Okay, so now let's open up any browser. I think I'll go for this Microsoft Edge. I have some folders open here. Okay, yeah. Alright, except Here I'll just write here localhost, which actually stands for 127.0.0.1, and after this localhost, after a colon, I'll just add the 8000, which is the port number. So if I hit enter, it will show me what the Django interface initially looks like. Okay, so now you want to actually render your own interface, not Django interface. So in order to do that, we have to create our own app. So let's go ahead and press Ctrl C to close the server connection, and then we'll write here python manage.py start app, and we'll give the name of the app. Let's say, since this is a blog project, I'll create a blog app, and it will give me a boilerplate of an Django app. So if I open up my code editor, and you can see that here there is a folder called blog. If I open it up, you can see different files here: admin, apps, model.py, and test.py, and views.py. Okay, so there are two things we need to do initially. At first, if we want to if we create an app, so the first very thing I will do here is to go to my project directory, and inside these settings, since I actually created an app, I need to register that app. So in the installed apps section array, I'll give the name of my new installed app, which is just a blog. Put a comma. This seems to be nice. The next thing I can do here is that if we see that there is a URL spy file here, okay, and this is the default URL spy file, and what we can do here, that since we created a custom app, we can create our own custom URL file where we will define the URLs or the routes of different section of our app. So I'm going to delete all these comments, and after this contrib import admin, I can actually, after this Django.urls import path, I can add here something called include. Okay, and after this admin site.urls, we can add a path here, and we'll leave this quotation like this. We don't want to add space or anything else. After this quotation, I'll add a comma, and I will call the include function, and inside the include function we want to add the URLs file of our blog. So we'll write here in quotation blog.urls. okay, so now let me save that, and next thing I will do here is that in my blog project, I'll create a new file here, and I will save this file as urls.py. So this is inside. Let's go to our blog app. Here I'll create the urls.py file. Okay, so this is a urls.py file from our blog app, and this is the urls.py file from our project app. So actually from our project actually. Then I'll just go ahead and copy this part, go to my urls.py file here, paste it out, and the only thing we'll need here is the path. We don't need to add or include anything else for now. Let's save that, and here we want to define our home routes. Okay, so let me add the first home route. So to define the home route, we will just delete this path. This will be our home route, and here after this quotation we want to add views from our app, which we don't currently have. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to, in my views file, I'll create a new view here, and def, actually this is going to be a functional view, so for that reason I'm adding the def keyword. Let's call this view as index, and pass the request object. Then inside the function we just want to return, so I want to return an HTTP response, so for that reason let's see from the Django.http import HTTP response. So here we'll just return the HTTP response, and I'll add here hello world. Okay. Now we want to connect this view with our route, so to do that we'll go to our URLs block file first. Let me close this URLs project file, we don't need to do that anymore. Now we need to import this view from our views file. So to do that we'll write here from dot views import index. Now I'll just add the function here, which is our index, and then I'll also pass another keyword argument, which is name, which will define this route as our home route. So this is pretty much the basic setup. Now, sorry about that. Now we just need to run the server. So I'll write here python manage.py run server, press enter. Okay, it's giving us some kind of error, no name.block. Alright, so I guess we have a typo error. So here in our URLs file, I'll just have to add URLs. It was a typo error. Let me save that again. Let's not save as, save, and let's go here. I'll just close the connection for now, and let's restart the connection. Okay, alright, I guess I'm just having too many syntax error today. So this is in our models, actually in our URLs, this is going to be from, not actually from. Okay, so now it looks clear. Let's save that. And okay, so it's reloading. I guess we didn't need to restart the service. So here, if I go here and restart our app, you can see here it says hello world, which means that we have successfully connected our view, which is like a controller in other kind of frameworks, backend frameworks. So we have created a controller or view which just returns an HTTP response, and then we connect it to our custom URLs file. Okay, so whenever the user visits this URL file, actually this route, he will be redirected to the view we are importing from our views file, and this view is just returning the hello world HTTP response. Now you can also actually go ahead and return HTML. So if I write here h1 hello world /h1, and then let me save that, and if I go here and refresh, it says here hello world in h1. We can also go ahead and view page source, and you can see here that it has an h1 tag. Now this is good for returning some kind of a piece of text or maybe JSON data, but for adding HTML to your documents, the most wisest thing in Django is actually I should say that this is the incredible thing in Django, which is the template. So Django is basically a model template and view framework. So we are creating models, which I will show in later video, how to create models. And this view is actually the function that will render a certain view, and then we need to also create some templates for our app or for our project. So here what I will do here, that in my base directory I'll create a folder called templates. Okay, so here new folder, I say new folder actually. Okay, this should be here. Yeah, new folder. This will be just known as templates. So in templates directory, all we need to do is to create a template first. So I'll give this template a name. I'll save it as an index.html. Okay, so this is an HTML template, and now I'll just go ahead and use so HTML, and I have a HTML boilerplate here, so I'll call it as Django blog. Okay, and I'll pass here an h1. I'll write here Django blog app. So this will be just for our experiment. Now we have our template. All we need to do is to connect this template to our view. So let's go to the view file first, and here we'll just, instead of returning the HTTP response, we will use the render function or the render method to return a template. So inside the render, the first argument we'll pass is our request, because we will request the server for our template. Then we need to pass the name of the template, so it's going to be index.html. Okay, and let me save that and let me run this file, and I'm sure that this is not going to work. And I was right, this is not going to work because we haven't told our Django which folder to connect as our templates folder. So let's go to our project, and then in our settings.py file. So whenever you create a templates folder, you need to connect that templates folder to your settings file. Okay, so here I'll do this. So this is our base directory result, and in our templates, in the dars, we'll just write here templates. Actually this will be templates. Okay, so templates. Alright, let me save this, and let's go here in our H, and let's reload this. Okay, so now you can see that this has been connected, and if we see the view page source, you can see that the full HTML server side rendered. Okay, so what is the next thing we need to do is to create a super user or an admin for our app in order to create some post. So the first thing I'll do here is that I should probably shrink it a little bit, and let's just, oh, alright, yeah. For now I'll just close the settings file, we want this URL spy file to be present, and let's close this block project URL spy file. We also need the views, so we want it to stay here and index. So the next thing we need to do is to create super admins, and I'm trying to guess what should I do next actually. Should I show you how to create models first and then move on to create an admin, or should I show you how to create a super admin first? Let's show you how to create a super admin. I think that will be much easier first. So let's close the connection first and then clear the screen, and we will write here python manage.py, and let's create a super user. So we'll write here create super user, okay, all in small caps, and it asks us the username. So I think I'll pass admin as my username. Then let's say we have for now we can just add any email address, it won't validate. And then we can add any password, so I'll just write here a small password to remember. And okay, so we want to bypass the validation for now, so I'll press UI, and super user has been created. Now let's go to our browser, and here we'll go to our admin panel. So we want this localhost 8000 to rise again, and here after 8000 slash we'll just pass here admin, and it will open up the admin panel for us. So I guess I just need to restart my server first. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, let's refresh the page, and now we can see our admin panel. Okay, I have too many users here, but for now I need to log into my current user, which is admin, and I'll pass my password here, and this will log me into the admin panel. So this is the administration panel of Django. You can see here some default groups. So we have a user group here that's actually derived from user model actually, and here I can see my user admin. If I click that, I can actually set my first name, last name. So let's set my first name, which is Ayan, last name Upadhyay. So and we can just go ahead and save it. So my admin has been updated here, and I wanted to update because when I'm going to create a post, I need to see the author name. Okay, so if an admin is creating a post, the admin would like to see the name as well. So right now we don't have any functionality to create blog post app, actually blog post. So to do that, first thing we'll need to do is to create a model, and then we need to do some migrations in order to register that model, and then we will create our first blog post. Okay, so let's go to our file, and here inside our blog app, not blog project, inside our blog app, if you go to the models, we can see the models file. So we need to create our model here, and I will import the user model first, because we want the active user or the current user to be added as an author of the post. Okay, so from Django contrib dot auth, from Django.contrib dot auth dot models import user model. Okay, and here we can create our models. So models are basically class that has several should I say properties. which represents the columns or the row values. So let me just show you how to create a model class. So the first thing we'll do here is write the class, and then we'll write the class name. So since we are creating a post, I'll just call this class as a post, and this will be extended from this models class. Okay, so let's copy this. So from models dot model. Okay, so from models dot model class, and then we'll create the fields for our columns and rows. So for the field, the first field I want is the title of the post, because every post has a title, and we want to define this field as a character field. So character field, and we want to set a limit to the title, so we'll pass here max underscore length, which will be a maximum length of our title. So I'll set the 50 as the max length for our title. Then we want to add the author of the post, so I'll add here author, and this will be model dot this will be actually the foreign key, because we are adding this user model to our post model, because we need the active user, or actually the authenticated user, as the author of the post. So let's add the foreign key here, that will be our user. Then we need to add another argument here, which is on delete. We need the model dot cascade. So whenever the author gets deleted, actually whenever a user closes his account or gets deleted by any chance, we want to also remove all the posts that certain user actually created. So for that reason, we are adding here model.cascade. Okay. The next thing we need is obviously the content of our post. So this will be content, and we'll write here model.text field, and we don't have any limit how much this content would be. Then the next last thing we need to add here is a dunder method, which is def underscore underscore str underscore underscore, and pass the self, and just representation, return the representation, which will be, let's say, self dot title. Okay, so what this thing will do is that whenever you create a post, that post, we want to see that post in our administration panel as well. But in order to see the post, which post has been created or which posts are listed, we are just referencing that post by this title. Okay, so every post will have a title, and this title will reference that post, because that will help the administration panel to either edit your post or delete your post. The next thing we need to do here is to register this model in our admin section. So how can we do that? We will navigate to the admin.py, and here we'll first import our post model. So from dot models import post model, and we want to register that post model. So we'll write here admin dot site dot register, and this will be actually in lowercase, and we'll pass the post model here. Okay, and I guess everything seems to be fine now. Let's go to our server. It says here, okay, so I think I actually have a typo again here. Right Alright, let's go to our models file. So this will actually be models. So let me capture all of this, and I'll write here models. Okay, so this will be models, and let me save that all. Let's see if our server is running now. Okay, so the server is running, but we need to close the server first, because we need to do some migration. So I'll write here python.manage.py make migration, and this and you will do this thing whenever you are creating a new model or making some changes to models. So python manage.py make migrations. So if I hit enter, it will check the changes and it will apply those changes. And now since we need to save those changes, we'll add python manage.py migrate, so it will save all of those changes. Okay, so the changes has been saved. Now let's run our server. So python manage.py run server. Okay, the server has been started. So now if I sorry about that, let's go here. If I go to my admin section and if I hit refresh, you can see that in beneath the user there is a post model that is coming from our blog app. Okay, so let's open up this post model, and here you will see that select post to change actually shows 0 because we don't have any post here. So I'll click this button called add post, and we have a simple blog like feature here where we can add titles. So let's add a title here. This is first post, or maybe let's say learning Django. And this is true, I'm actually also learning Django. So let's add the author as admin, and let's say Django is a pretty cool framework, and let's add a comma. I am excited to learn. Now if we click the save button, you can see the post has been saved, and it says here learning Django. And this is because if you go back to your models, in the dunder method we have represented it as self.title. Now if I, for some reason, I add here plus sign, and here in quotation I'll add here a sign like this, and I add here str, then I want the author first, and I want to get the first name of that author. Now let me save that here. Actually not save as, save. So let me save that. Then let's go back here, and if I refresh this won't work. Okay, so it actually worked here, and you can see that it says you're learning Django, then we have that straight sign, and then we have the author name. Okay, so now let's create another post here. Let's say learning React.js, and I'm also thinking about actually adding a React.js crash course in my channel after I am finished or done with this blog app project. So let's set the admin as the author, and let's add it here. React is an awesome front-end framework and pretty cool thing. Okay, I have a spelling mistake here. Let's fix that and let's click save. So it says here learning React, learning Django. Okay, so now we need to figure out how to actually bring this post in our web page. So to do that, we'll create some views and some templates. I think we will use our home template for representing those views. I mean those posts, and then we'll create also a detail view. So whenever a user clicks on some blog post, it will take the user to another page, which will show them the full blog post. Okay. So let's go back to our file, and here in the templates directory, not actually in the templates directory, let's go to views first, and we want to see all of the posts that has been made by the users. Okay, so to get that post, we need to capture all of the data from our database. So to do that, first we need to import the model here. So from .models import post model, and here in our index we'll just simply capture all of the post. So we can do that by writing a variable called post, and let's say post which will be assigned to post post dot objects dot all, and I'm not sure if that will work. So post dot objects dot all, actually this should work. So I'm telling Django here that this variable will hold or contain every post made by the users in the database. Okay, so now how to pass those posts in our templates? We need to create a context here. So I'll create context dictionary. So context, and here we'll pass the first key, which is the post, and the value will be this post variable. Okay, alright, so what happened here? So this will be post, and here we'll pass post. Now let's pass this context into our template. So after comma, actually after the name of our template, we'll put a comma here, and then we'll just pass the context, and then from our index.html file we'll capture that context. So let's go to the index.html file, and after this h1 I'll add a Django embedded code, which is also known as the Jinja templating code. So in curly braces I'll add here the percentage signs 2 times, and we'll create a for loop in Jinja template. This will be a simple for loop, so we'll add here a for post in post. So we are referring each post as just a post. Then we also need to close down this for loop. So we'll write here in for, and here inside this we'll create a, let's say a div here first. Okay, and inside this div we'll create the post title. So I'll write here just a simple h2, and inside the h2 in the wrapper we'll add 2 curly braces in order to define the post variables. So since this post is an object, this post is currently an object, this post is holding data of each post, and each post has property like title, author, content. So we'll add here post.title. Then we want to see who is the author. Okay, So I can write here a p tag, and inside this p tag I can also write here small text. But we are not actually focusing on the styling right now, but I want to see some sort of styling in the initial stage, actually for the structural part. So we'll pass the author data here, so we'll write here post dot author, and after that we'll create another p tag, and here we'll just pass our post description, so that will be post content. Okay, so now let me save that, and then the final thing we need to do here is, okay, let's go to our page and let's refresh this. Okay, so now you can see the post had been made. Okay, so it says here admin. Alright, we made a little mistake here. Let's go here. So okay, the first thing I need to do is to delete this, and we need to see the name. We can actually see the author name, so we write here first underscore name, and we can write here, let's say, author of the post, and maybe let's say title, and finally this will be our content. Save that. Let's refresh this, and we can see here title learning Django, author and we have this text. Okay, so we can see that how we can create a view like this, which just takes away or gets all of the data from the database. So this is getting data, actually all data to our database, actually getting all data from our database, and then we are passing that data to our template, and this template will process that data in a loop or something and will represent us or render to us. So the next thing I would like to show is that if in a general blog the post content is not shown like this, you might see a little bit of summary, but the total content is inside of a detail view page. Okay, so we need to create some kind of a detail view page, and we need to render the post data inside of that detail view. So how to do that? First, just like we created a route for our home page, we need to also create a route for the single blog post detail view. So let's go to our URLs, and inside here we'll create another path or a route, and I will call it as /post, and this will be the ID of the post or the primary key. And first we need to define the type of the variable we are passing, and in the colon we will write name of the variable, so this will be pk. So what this pk is actually that every post you set or enter in your database will create an unique primary key for each post. So this pk represents that primary key for that particular post, so that we can tell our database, hey, I'm looking for this particular post and I want to see the details. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to add a controller or a view, and then we'll create also a template for that single view. Okay, so let's go to our views, and here we will create another view. So let's say this will be a detail detail underscore view, and we'll pass a request first. And since we are also passing the primary key through our URL or our route, we need to capture that primary key. So I'll pass here also the PK. And now we need to get first, not actually first, we need to get the single or the particular post by our ID. So let's go here, and this was our post, this was our all post, and now we need to get the single post. So this will be post equals to post objects dot get, and we want to get this through our ID, so this will be PK. And next thing we need to do is to create a context which will host our particular post as post, and then we need to return render and pass first request. Then we need to define a template, and then we need to send the context here. So we have created a template for single detail. So let's go to our templates directory, and here we'll create a new file. Let's save this. Let's save this file as. Let's go to our blog project, and here in templates we'll name this as detail. Okay, or maybe I can just name it as post detail. Post detail.html. Copy the name, hit enter. Let's create a boilerplate first. So why is not working? Okay, yeah. So let me add a Django app, and later I will also show you guys how you can make this title dynamic. Okay, let's save this file, and in this views file we'll pass the name of the file just we created. So this is postdetail.html. Let's save this. Let's save our URLs as well. Okay, before saving we need to add the view. So we have already imported the index view, so now we want to also import our detail view. So let's copy this detail view and paste it out here, then after the comma paste it out here, and give a name of this view. So this will be, let's say, detail. Okay, so this will be named as detail. So let's save all. And now since we are passing post or a single post as context to our HTML, we need to get a little bit of detail. So I'll create a new div here, and here I'll pass first, let's say this is an h2 tag instead of h1. I'll add here the post, since we are passing post, this will be post dot, I think this will be a post dot title, and then we'll add here the post content, so double brace. Okay, and obviously we need to add this. So let's go to our index.html. I'll just copy this part here. Let's go here, and after this I want to add an HR tag. So this will create an horizontal row, or actually horizontal separator, and I think we are done here pretty much. The only thing we need to do is now create some navigation link so that we can see this page. So let us save that, and let's go to index.html, and now let's say we don't want to show the user the content. Instead, let us show the view link. So we'll add a anchor tag here, And here inside the href we'll add the URL tag. So this will be curly brace, then percentage signs, and inside that we'll add the URL here. And if you go back to our URLs, we have named this particular path as detail. So we'll copy this. So yeah, this. So here inside the URL, after URL, give it a space. Then in quotations, this should be in single quotation, because if you look closely here, after href equal sign we have double quotation. So inside double quotation you will add single quotation. We'll pass the name of the route. Then since we are passing an ID, we need to pass the ID. Make sure you add a space here. If you don't do that, it won't work. So add a space, then add post, and since every post has an ID, we can pass and post.id as the value for the variable pk. Okay. So save all that, and inside this anchor we'll say view post. Okay, so this is a link that will ask the users to view the post, or if you want to see the content of the post. So let's go to our edge, and if I reload here, you can see that the content has gone and it says here view post. Now if I click this link, it takes me to another page which shows me the post title, the post author, and the post content in full details. Okay, now if you look closely in the URLs, after the post there is number 1, which actually refers to as the ID of the post. Now let me go back, and if I click on the second view post link, it will take me to the second page, and we have this second ID in our URLs. So that's how pretty much this rendering of all posts and showing the details of a post works. All you need to do is to interact with your database from your views. Your views needs to be connected with your URLs, and your views also needs to be connected with your templates. In templates you send the context data, and you just process that context data through the Jinja text. So that's I think pretty much is the first lesson for you guys, how to interact with Django. In the next part of this series that I have started, I will show how to create forms for creating our posts, then updating posts and deleting posts, because whenever we are trying to create posts, it is always taking us to the admin panel and then creating posts from the admin panel, which is not that difficult thing, but actually irritating. We want to create our own template for creating posts and for updating and deleting posts. So, and I will also add bootstrap framework in my current Django project. So we'll style our Django app as well. We don't really like this particular black and white stuff. We want to see this as stylish as possible. Okay, so I hope you guys like the first lesson of this series that we are starting the Django blog project, and I'm very hopeful that you will really enjoy this project. I am enjoying this first starting thing. And the next final thing I will show you is how to create a Git repository and how to send your Django project to your Git repository on GitHub, and I will also share that Git repository link in my description. So let's save that, and I think we are done pretty much with the first thing. So let's go here, and here let's close this out. So let me save this, and let's see what our current directory has. Okay, so it has git ignore, blog project, db SQLite, and environment. Okay, so a few things I really don't want to add here is this environment and the dbSQLite, which reminds me that I have already added git ignore here, and I have added the environment folder not to be set or not to be actually tracked by the git software, and I also need to ignore this db.sqlite file because I don't want to send this database. Actually, the SQLite itself is not secure. It's just for testing our purpose. In modern or professional world, most of the professional user actually uses the Postgres or MySQL database. So let's copy the name. Okay, we need to copy the name first. Let's close this out, and inside our the git ignore file, after environment I'll also add the SQLite. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much. Let us save that. Alright, sorry about that. Okay, what is going on here? Alright, we are done with git ignore. Now let's go to our repository. We'll create a repository here, new, and I will give this repository a name as the Django blog project. Okay, so this is the Django blog project. Now all we need to do is to just create repository here for now, and it says here the Django blog project. Now first we will create an readme md file. So to do that, let's go to our command prompt. Now what I will do here is first just deactivate my virtual environment. So I'll write here deactivate, press enter, and this will deactivate your virtual environment. Now clear this out. Let's create the readme md file, and all you need to do is just paste this out and just hit enter. This will create your readme md file. Then what you need to do is to initialize your git repository. So we'll write here git init, and this will initialize your git repository. The next thing you need to do is to add all of your files, then create a commit, then create a branch, and then send your set your current repository to a remote repository so that you can exchange you can send your local files to the remote repository. So we'll walk through the process here. So we have already initialized this git init. Now we need to add all of the files. So let's copy this and let's paste this out here. We don't want to add only readme.md file, we want to add all of the files. So we'll add a dot sign here and then press enter. This will track all of the files in our git repository. Then we need to go ahead and create our first commit, because we want to save all of our changes that we have created yet. Okay, so git commit -m, and in the quotation make sure that the quotation is a double quotation. Inside that quotation you will write your commit message, then press enter. This will save all of your commits. Then clear the screen out. Now next thing we need to add is our branch, which will be our main branch. So let's paste this out here, press enter, and the final two things we need to do here is let's see where we are. Yes, we need to set the remote repository here. So we'll copy this remote repository, press this out, and this is our Django blog project. Then final thing we need to do is to push our files to our remote repository. Now let's push all of the files, and few things will be ignored, which are actually stated inside the git ignore file, which are environment, and as well as sorry about that, as well as our yes, if I reload this, now you can see that it has all of the files we created. just only two folders has two things has been ignored. The first is the environment, and the second is the SQLite. Okay. So the first is the environment, then the git ignored. I also ignored the SQLite database. Now I will share this link, and what you need to do is you can just go ahead and click the code and just copy this link and just go to your terminal and write git clone, paste the link out, and if you hit enter, you will download the folder in your local repository. You can make changes, you can add commits, you can push those commits to my branch. If you want to make some changes, if you want to do some contributions, I will check the pull request and everything. So okay, I think that's all for today. In next few videos we will look on the styling and the creation part, the CRUD operation part of the video. We will also look how to create users, multi-users to post a blog post in our blog app. So if you are new to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. If you are just learning out programming and Python especially, then I'll recommend Django as your first framework, because Django is really cool thing to learn. Okay, so that's all for today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Thank you very much.